Today we're going to be talking about performance reviews, how you can prepare to be ready when you sit down with your boss and feel more confident. My name is Lynn. I am an executive career coach. I help people just like you every day improve their relationships and move up the ladder that much quicker. I'll talk to you in just a couple of minutes. Most organizations on a yearly basis conduct performance reviews. It's a difficult and, quite frankly, stressful kind of time, especially if you don't know how to prepare for them. So today we're going to go through 5 things that you can do to prepare before you sit down and have that conversation with your boss. First thing to do is to develop a list of topics. And that list might be, 1 to 10. Don't go over 10 because you're never going to cover 10, I can tell you that. But you want to have at least 10 in your back pocket. And the reason for that is so that you can focus the conversation. You can talk about the things that you want to talk about. Granted, you may be working off of a performance review from a previous year, so a lot of your topics may already be established. However, one of the other things that you'll probably be having in the conversation is what are you going to do for the upcoming year? So that's where it's handy for you to have a list of projects and things that you find of interest and ways that you might be able to help the organization improve in the areas of maybe customer service, employee relations, sales, whatever it is that you do. You want to make sure that you are able to put your fingerprint on it and do something great so that you can get noticed. The second thing that I'd suggest that you would do is once you've got that list, rank order the list. Figure out what's the most important to you and possibly what's the most important to your boss and see if they match up. If you've got a match, you've got a home run. If you have a mismatch, then you got a little bit of homework to do. And in one of the next steps, we'll talk about how to do that. So the third step is that once you have your list, and again, we talked about having your list and your boss's potential list, if there's a difference is to do a pro and con analysis on each item. That's right. For each item, say, this is why I think I ought to do it. This is the upside to the organization. These are the resources I might need. These are, this is what it's going to do for me. Whatever the case is, put together your list of pros. On the other side, the flip side, you want to look at what's the cons. Because with it, maybe we don't have the budget to do it. Maybe there aren't enough resources, but you want to list out the things that could be potential roadblocks so that you can have a conversation with your boss and that the two of you can come to a decision whether or not one of these projects is a go. And because you really do want a project, but you want one that you know that you're going to be successful at. The fourth thing that you want to consider before walking in and having a conversation with your boss is figure out what you need from him or her and the organization to be successful. And that could take a lot of different forms. For example, you may say, I think I need a little more feedback on the projects that I've been working on. Is it possible for us to set up time, maybe on a quarterly basis, hopefully on an every other month basis? If you get down to a monthly one, unless that project is really hot, you might be seen as a little bit needy. So think real carefully about when you need to have your boss insert themselves into the project because you don't want to have to go to them for every little decision. Now, if you have a micromanaging boss, that's a whole different situation. Then you're working at how can I move out that timeline versus have such a constricted timeline. Another thing that you might ask for from your boss is to have some checkpoints along the way. Just status checkpoints, not necessarily feedback, but here I am, and if I've got some roadblocks, some things that are getting in the way, then that's the time to ask your boss to step up. You may also want to compile a list of resources, whether it's time, money, other individuals that you need, and then you can go to them and say, I need to negotiate and get a little bit more help on this project if we're going to be able to hit the mark. The final thing is that you may just need general information. They may have a go-to person inside the organization they can point you to, or they may suggest some internet sites, or possibly doing some other type of research with some firms that the organization has invested in money. Because there are firms out there where, for example, there may be a think tank and your organization has a membership there, and you would be able to have access going to that think tank to get some additional information. The final thing that you want to be prepared to do when you go into your performance review is to gain support and gain commitment from your boss. It's real easy for everybody to sit at the table, nod their head and say, okay, yes, we'll do it, we'll get it, and then nothing happens afterward. If you walk out of one of those meetings, what I will guarantee you is all the follow-up is going to be on you. And you're going to have to step it up to make sure that something happens. An easier way to do it is prior to leaving the meeting, get that level of support and commitment from your boss. And that might mean having a calendar right in front of you, or suggesting let's get online, let's look at the calendar, and let's block off the time. Just make sure that you've got everything dialed in before you leave, and you will have a better chance of being successful in your next year during the career. And I'd love to hear if there's something that you have an interest in me talking about. Just put it in the comments below, and we'll see. Possibly the next video will feature your question. And with that, you have a great day, and I will see you next time.